Hi, everybody. How you doing today? I have a friend, dear friend, like a brother to me. Name is Steve. Retired music teacher, public school music teacher. Lived in upstate New York, but not very far upstate, just kind of outside the city. Then he stayed there where he retired from. He lived in the area. But he was also a performing musician, keyboard and trombone. Sometimes he would do playing gigs. Sometimes he'd be a musical director of things. He had a church job. I used to tease him. He was not Catholic. He grew up Jewish, um, but he was a church organist in two Catholic churches for 5 services every weekend. We used to text each other every once in a while when he was on his third sermon. Um, but he just is one of those guys who's faithful to the core of his being. He's centered. He knows who he is. So he and his wife bought some property in Florida. For a couple of years, they rented it out. They'd go down occasionally. But then they decided they were going to move down there permanently. Now, I'm almost at the retirement age. Well, I'm past the age, but I'm almost at the point of retiring. And so all these stories really are meaningful to me right now. And maybe you've been going through something similar in your life, too. Maybe you've done this. Maybe this is your journey. At any rate, I think his wife was a little concerned that he wasn't going to be playing as much, having these other gigs to keep him busy, right? So he got in touch with a local school or two down there near where their home is, where their home was going to be, and also a local theater down there. And in both cases, jobs fell into place. He contacted the school, for instance, and I think said something like, I'm going to be in the area. I'd be open to a part-time gig if you need any help with your instrumental program. And the same kind of with the theater. And now he's got a part-time teaching gig at the school, and he's the musical director of their next performance at this theater. His wife also was offered a job. She's a musician too. She was offered a job at the school as well. And as he and I were talking about this, I said to him, Steve, you thought you were done, and yet you didn't want to be done. And so you were like just open. You put it out there to the universe. And he said, yep, and everything fell into place. And he said, I think that would make a good sermon for you. And I said, me too, but why? And he said, because I thought it was the end and it's the beginning. And I said, yeah, and it's got God's fingerprints all over it, doesn't it? And he said, yeah. And the thing is, he had to be open. He had to be open enough to seek it. And then, boom, 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 boom. Everything fell into place, just like dominoes, all falling into place, so that he ends up doing what he loves, what he is called to do, in a new location, all because he was true to himself. He had integrity. He wasn't willing to, just do anything. He wanted to do the things that he knew he was called by God to do well. So I offer up Steve, and thank you, Stephen, for giving me permission to preach about it, and for sharing your story and your friendship with me, my brother. I offer him up here as we're going into a weekend and you have more days to think about the Prayerful Pause Challenge. The challenge, I think, for each one of us is to stay open to the possibilities that God might see for us that we might not see for ourselves at first. But if we put it out there, if we open ourselves up, God's fingerprints will be all over our lives because we're called to certain things. And God's not going to waste the opportunity of having somebody volunteer. You know yourself, if you've run a group and somebody volunteers, you want to seize that moment. Don't waste the offer. And I think that's kind of like God is too. So be thinking about, all right, what am I going to open up to and ask God about? And you might be surprised. All right, it's a Friday, so I'm going to say if you are in a position to support this ministry, this Prayerful Pause ministry, We invite you to, either with prayer or with a financial gift, and you can submit the prayer, of course, directly to God, but you can submit any financial gifts to us through the information on the end of this video. And I hope you have a wonderful and safe weekend. I'm Pastor Deb Swift of both South and Irondequoit Presbyterian Churches in Rochester, New York. Thank you for joining me for this prayerful pause with the pastor. And until next time, God bless, take care, and bye for now.